The initial program in a new Saturday series outlining the role of science in war. Our program guest this morning is to be Professor Reston Stevenson, Professor of Chemistry at City College, a former major in the United States Army who specialized in chemical warfare work in cooperation with the British and the French forces during the First World War. Professor Stevenson is to speak on the poison gas problem. Ladies and gentlemen, Professor Stevenson.
Poison gas for civilians. Poison gases are chemical substances that are so toxic that they can injure or even kill. In general, they are stored or kept as oily liquids like perfume and are served to the consumer as a gas or as a liquid spray. Sometimes they are smokes of solid particles. Manifestly, the civilian should avoid these poison gases, and therefore in this short talk he will be given a comprehension of this form of chemical warfare and its possibilities so as to enable him to nullify the gas attack and to escape personal harm. It will be shown that the rule for the civilian is presence of mind and absence of body. Knowledge about poison gases reveals that as military weapons, they are disappointing in results against an enemy that is prepared and is not taken by surprise. In World War I, permanent disabilities were due 35% to wounds, 63% to diseases, and only 2% to gassing. According to experts, incendiary bombs cause 15 times and high-explosive bombs 75 times as much immediate damage as an equal weight of poison gas bombs. Furthermore, many of these gases, like the tear gases, are only irritating and not poisonous. Many others, like prussic acid, are too volatile and are soon gone with the wind, and still others decompose by themselves and cannot be kept for use. All of the available poison gases are retained or kept back by the gas mask, so that only pure air is breathed. All of the available poison gases can be readily neutralized or oxidized or hydrolyzed by easy chemical means so as to eliminate them. On the other hand, poison gas must not be given a sniff of derision, and certainly it is not something to be sneezed at. For only 2 or 3 breaths of air with a concentrated dose of the gas phosgene are enough to make a lung casualty, and a spot of the liquid of the poison gas called mustard of the size of a pinhead will make a blister of the size of a quarter that will take weeks to heal. If there is a proportion of only 1 to 1,000,000 of poison gas in the air, that is enough to put a man to bed with a painful irritation and blistering. 30 drops of the liquid of the gas lewisite left on the skin sends a man to the hospital for a month. Remember that poison gas, unlike a gun, can shoot around a corner. Also, a single airplane flying just above the buildings of Broadway, New York City, could spray liquid mustard gas over the crowds for 10 city blocks in a few seconds if crowds like election night crowds were waiting there to be sprinkled and if an eminent bomber could reach that spot. Certainly, our airplane defense and our anti-aircraft batteries will do their part to keep away hostile airplanes. But in any event, a warning of 5 or more minutes will be given so that civilians can leave the streets and reach places of safety nearby. The places in buildings safe from incendiary and high explosive or demolition bombs are also safe from poison gases, since the bombs of poison gas can penetrate only the roof and perhaps a floor or two, and the liquid drops of the poison and the heavy poison gas will fall to the street. Thus, the middle floors, if closed up, are safe. The top floor, basement, and ground floor are not safe from poison gas. The air wardens or the gas identification service will tell what kind of bomb falls, and the civilians will stay away until the decontamination squad has later eliminated the poison gas. In World War I, civilians were not attacked by poison gas, but there is reason and evidence to believe that the Axis nations will have a large supply of poison gas in storage and ready for use, especially in unexpected places. Perhaps New York City will be given a sample. Anyhow, we must be prepared and thus defeat the attack. Let us consider what particular poison gas the civilian could expect. During and after World War I, chemists have been so very active at synthesizing new and worse poison gases that we now feel confident that the whole field of chemical possibilities has been covered. We shall now consider all the favorites. The most successful gas attack launched by the Germans in World War I was their first attack, and the gas was simply chlorine. It was so successful because it came as a complete surprise. Afterwards, chlorine was abandoned because it was not sufficiently toxic and because it was volatile and non-persistent. Of course, we should not now anticipate chlorine. It would be too easy to avoid. The tear gas, which is used to put down riots, is not really toxic, and so it would not be used, nor would the tear gas solutions and tear gas mixtures. Brombenzyl cyanide and ethyl iodoacetate are the most irritating of these eye irritants or lacrimators, but they also are not sufficiently toxic to be worth using. The class of gases called nose irritants or stanutators is more severely irritating and somewhat toxic, but not sufficiently so. Therefore, Adamsite, diphenylchlorosine, diphenylcyanosine are improbabilities. They produce a speedy effect of pain, nausea, and depression, but recovery follows after a few hours without casualty. Ethyl dichlorosine and chlorpicrin are both irritants of the eyes and nose and also are lung irritants, whereby they are toxic and may even cause death. However, in this same class of poison gases, phosgene is the most toxic of the lung irritants and would be preferred to the others. Indeed, phosgene would be the most probable of all the war gases except for its volatility, which renders it non-persistent. The wind blows it away and the air quickly dilutes it. By this process of elimination, we now come to two gases. One, mustard gas, which was the favorite toward the end of World War I, and two, lewisite, which was invented by Professor Lewis in the United States at the end of the war, and too late to try it out in battle. Both of these gases are highly toxic, perhaps equal to phosgene, and they are both liquids of so little volatility that they can persist for days and continuously emanate poison gas in toxic concentration. Lewisite is more irritant, but it is more easily destroyed by the hydrolytic action of water. Both gases are strong lung irritants, and also they are particularly skin irritants or vesicants that penetrate wool, cotton, leather, and skin, and they raise blisters on the skin that confine a man for weeks. They have the military disadvantage of being slow to act. Lewisite may be several hours before it makes a casualty, and mustard gas may be half a day. However, against civilians, this delayed action is of small importance, except that these gases do not readily cause panic. The insidiousness of the action and the invisibility of the gases recommend them for use. In the liquid state, both of these gases are yellow to brown in color because of impurities always present, and they are oily in appearance. Mustard gas has an odor like garlic and is not so easily recognizable as lewisite, which smells like geraniums. Phosgene smells like green corn on the cob. These two probable poison gases and phosgene, as well as all the other improbable gases, can be tested by known and available chemical tests and visual indicators, and they can also be detected by odor. Men have already been trained to detect these gases by sniffing them in such a way that the gas enters the nose where it is smelled, but does not enter the lungs where there are no organs of smell and where the gas could do harm. Gas bombs burst with a dull pop and give a white or yellow cloud, whereas high explosive bombs burst with a sharp crack and give a black cloud. Incendiary bombs are recognizable by the fires they produce. If we consider now how the enemy may send us the mustard gas or the lewisite, we come to the conclusion that large bombs will be dropped from aeroplanes. Such a bomb would contain about 50% by weight of poison gas in the state of liquid. Explosive shells shot from the gun of a warship could contain only 10% poison gas. Of course, spraying or sprinkling is the most effective method of gas attack, provided that the aeroplane could reach the low levels just above the main streets of a city and provided that the civilians would be waiting there to be splashed with the liquid poison gas. Deserted streets after the alarm completely defeat this kind of gas attack. Sensational reporters have so exaggerated the menace of poison gas that many civilians have been led to believe that a city can be sprinkled with a little Lewisite or mustard gas so that all living things would be killed. All authorities who really know the situation agree that this is absurdly false. There is no such danger. Some mustard gas or Lewisite may fall on the houses or streets in a small section and sink down by its weight to the streets, but this would occur only at occasional spots. The Lewisite would be decomposed by water with or without alkali and washed away, and the mustard gas would be decomposed by oxidation with bleaching powder and water. In a day or two, even the few contaminated spots would be restored by the decontamination squads. These squads would work in oilcloth suits and heavy rubber gloves and boots, and they would wear gas masks which contain filters that remove dust and droplets, followed by soda lime, which reacts with some gases, and this followed in the mask by activated carbon granules which absorb the poison gases. Only fatty foods like butter and milk absorb poison gases to an extent that water will not wash away, but all food should be kept covered. First aid stations are equipped to treat any civilian who is splashed by liquid mustard or Lewisite. Promptness of treatment is essential. Fortunately, nearly every house can give the following simple treatment immediately. Wipe off gently the streaks of dark, oily liquid with cotton or rags moistened by gasoline or alcohol or any oily solvent. Wash face and hands, and preferably all over, with soap and warm water. Change underclothes and put suit and shoes where they can air out. Altogether, the civilian may be reassured that if any poison gas is dropped on our towns, it need not be a source of panic or of undue alarm. It is under control that is already established. It can be avoided and then eliminated. Civilian defense is always passive defense, and retreat is the best strategy. If the civilian leaves the streets when the alarm sounds, and if he remains in the safe places already known and provided, he will defeat the gas attack and escape personal harm from it. I repeat that the rule for the civilian is presence of mind and absence of body.
Ladies and gentlemen, your city station, cooperating with the City College Civilian Defense Council, has brought you the initial program in an important public service series, The Role of Science in War. Our speaker, Professor Reston Stevenson of the City College Chemistry Department. Now, a copy of his address is available to all those interested. Simply write to City College Defense Council, 139th Street at Columbus Avenue, enclosing 10 cents to cover costs. There's another City College Defense series on the air each Thursday at 4:45. Next Thursday's speaker will be Professor William Bradley Otis of the Department of English, and his topic, American Democracy, Recognition of the Common Man. This is the Municipal Broadcasting System.